We'll find you, bud. Don't worry. Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. These last few weeks have been a bit rough, so I think it's time for a little levity. Because it's the end of the year, I always like to spend this time being a little reflective. Sometimes it's on jokes that I should have made, other times on mistakes that I have made. However, this year, I want to celebrate the funny a bit. Now I know what you're thinking. Isn't this essentially a clip show? Well, yes. What? I'm admitting it flat out. However, we are going to do things a little differently to keep it from being predictable. I'm laying down some ground rules for this list. No jokes that rely on footage from other shows, so all of the Dr. Cox rants from Scrubs are out.
Oh my god, I care so little I almost passed out.
Only one joke per episode is going to make this list, otherwise this list would just be populated by 2 or 3 episodes that I think are my funniest, and really, why not just watch the damn episodes again in that case? While all of these are favorite jokes of mine, I wanted to get some viewer input because after 160 plus episodes, I kind of forget a few. So we have some suggestions in here and I'll point those out when they come along. I have to explain why I chose them, or at least something interesting about the joke. Sure, they're funny, but what is it about them that I like so much above others? And most importantly, none of my running gags. That's right, no jokes that I've used repeatedly. However, because I know that will upset a few people, let's just get those out of the way first. I am the goddamn Batman, which is nothing but death and crime and the adamantium rage of a beast, my god. It just raises too much logic in what he says. Of course, don't you know anything about poor literacy, you magnificent bastard, I read your book! But anyway, let's dig into my top 15 personal favorite jokes of Atop the Fourth Wall.
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a party hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazon and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
Cream-colored ponies and crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles, wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings.
Number 15, from Amazing Fantasy number 15. Since this one breaks the rules almost immediately, that's why it gets the number 15 slot. I love my Amazing Fantasy number 15 review, but if I had to pick why, it's because of the way the story lovingly points out just how messed up Peter Parker's life is. That his fellow students all hate him, he's rejected by women, and some people even want to run him over just because he looks dorky. And with a life of being bullied, rejected by everyone but his teachers and relatives, you'd think that poor little Peter Parker would have certain personality traits. Peter Parker? He's Midtown High's only professional wallflower! And of course, Peter is sulking at the corner. Well, better go plan my murderous revenge and then wait for Battlestar Galactica to be invented. There's something about dark humor and stories as old as this which seem gleefully ignorant of that kind of stuff that I just love. Peter Parker lucked out and got superpowers. But if this were the real world... Someday I'll show them. Someday they'll be sorry. Sorry that they laughed at me. I see a killing spree in his future. And finally, if there's one running gag aside from one more day that I can make about Peter Parker, it's just the unhappy truth about his existence. And as you know, they're a dime a dozen, but we think you may find our Spider-Man just a bit different. His life is a never-ending spiral of shame and death. Oh, Peter Parker, the fact that you aren't in an insane asylum continues to baffle me.
Brown paper packages tied up with strings. These
Number 14, from Strange Adventures number 136. Robot J9 was designed by the US government to be the savior of mankind in the event of a nuclear war. Huh, bit of a design flaw. I don't think we can all fit in there. I picked this one primarily because I like the wordplay. These old comics are ripe for material to make fun of. Not just the bizarre plot circumstances, but just the general writing style. I don't know when comic books stopped being written like this, but if you actually look at a few mainstream comics from the 90s, many were still doing this, speaking very melodramatically in almost every sentence. Humor for them was derived mainly from puns or an occasional slapstick bit, but I can't imagine they were very funny to the audiences who were more interested in the science fiction aspects of this kind of stuff. In this case, it's the bizarre plan of a robot named J9 who would save us all if only he had been built a little bigger.
brown paper packages tied up with strings. These
Number 13, from the top 15 comics I'll never review. This one is a viewer suggestion, but it seems to be one that's resonated with people. I wasn't expecting this to go over as well as it has, since it's just a single word, but I've heard before that certain words are just intrinsically funny. Maybe this word, or the synonym for it, is just something that makes people giggle. Boner. Boner, boner. Boner, boning of boner. Boner, boner. Erect penis. What's funnier is that if I had gone ahead to do the Batman number 66 review like people wanted me to do, that probably would have been the extent of the episode. And really, don't we all just love boners?
brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are
Number 12. Wait. One more.
Bonerland.
Number 12, from Dooms 4 number 1/2. Numbers on comics get to me when they really shouldn't. I mean, it's just a number, an arbitrary identification that can be used for someone to order their comics and how to identify a new issue. That being said, something about stuff like this comic makes me grind my teeth. Now, in occasional issue 0, I don't mind, but then you have silly concepts like a 1/2 issue, and then I just kinda lose it. I'm sorry, but what the hell is a 1/2 issue anyway? Am I only getting half of issue 1? I mean, at least 0 is a concept with an actual numerical representation. I'm holding a friggin' fraction here. I think what bugs me even more about it is that the number is kind of a lie anyway. Most standard-sized comic books are 22 or 24 pages long, so a half issue should be 11 or 12 pages. Admittedly, the story, if you can call one cyborg narrating about nothing a story, is 12 pages long, but the comic itself is longer than that, including the interview and the concept sketches where we learned that the thing was supposed to be called Doomins.
Dude, don't you get it? They took demons and then put the word doom in it! The only way it could be any cooler than that is if they called them the Dude-ons! You're a doofus!
brown paper packages tied up with strings. These
Number 11, from NB Comics number 1. Another viewer suggestion here, and a really good one. Of all the ill-conceived notions for NBC's Saturday morning lineup, I can think of no stupider than Pro Stars.
Chip and Pepper, two mild-mannered yet bold and brave bulldogs, escaped into reality one day when a crack opened up in their cartoon.
I stand by what I said. Pro Stars is friggin' stupid. 3 sports stars fighting crime with high-tech gadgetry is just bizarre, not helped by the insane technology they come up with. But there is one gadget in particular that made me go nuts. A laser bat! Cool, Mom! Laser bat. A spear-slinging hockey stick. How about a gun? Ever just think about using a gun? It's probably more accurate and more easily reloadable than a hockey stick that shoots spears. Laser bat? I still don't know what the hell was so laser about this bat. It was an ordinary bat. You can't just add the word laser to something to make it cooler. Oh look, my laser Yu-Gi-Oh cards. What's that? Aliens invading? Well, it's a good thing I have my laser stapler. But I think what will really come in handy is my laser phaser. Hell, the best you could argue is that it was a sonic bat, since it seemed to use vibration in order to get them out of steel bars. But when you call it a laser bat, I expect to see lasers, damn it! Laser bat. Not as cool as a laser screwdriver.
Laser screwdriver. Who'd have Sonic?
Brown paper packages tied up with strings.
Number 10, from Ultimatum number 5. Sometimes there's a disconnect between artist and writer. The writer writes something, scripts it out, and then the artist draws it, not realizing that what they're drawing is completely removed from the scene. This is one of those occasions where someone in editorial should have caught this, and I'm flabbergasted why nobody did. A cloaked figure enters.
How did you get in here?
Through the door. The door that's right there. See the door? He came in the door. Everybody in this comic is either crazy or stupid. I think I like this one so much because it's such an easy thing to fix. Such an easy thing to spot. This isn't like me ranting on the magnetic poles where they were just lazy. This is incompetence on open display, made worse by the fact that issues 4 and 5 came out a few months late. All that time, and nobody spotted that. Ultimatum. So stupid it doesn't even know what a door is.
Brown paper packages tied up with strings.
Number 9, from Silent Hill Dead Alive number 3 and 4. I've said a lot about the Silent Hill comics written by Scott Siensen. There is so much wrong with them, but if I had to pick out a single thing that exposed just what was wrong with them, there would be one single line. No, it's not their lack of connection to the games. No, it's not the fact that they aren't scary. It's not even that the characters are unlikable, the plot makes no sense, or that the artwork itself is atrocious and ill-suited for a Silent Hill story. No, like with Ultimatum number 5, if I had to sum up what was wrong with these comics, it would come down to a disconnect between artist and writer.
There's a fire in the distance.
Pretty colors. It's brown. Every color in this comic is brown. Silent Hill Dead Alive. You might as well have dragged a bunch of blank pages through mud because you'd have gotten the same effect as these comics.
Brown paper packages tied up with strings.
Number 8, from the Fantastic Four in Brain Drain. Back with the viewer suggestions, this one seemed to get a lot of people happy, though again, I'm not sure why it resonated with people so much, it just does. Maybe it just brings back memories of their own when they encountered this, but for whatever reason, people seem to like it.
Who wrote this thing? Tom DeFalco? Former Marvel editor-in-chief Tom DeFalco?
Brown paper packages tied up with strings.
Number 7, from Rise of Arsenal number 3 and 4. When I moved out of my parents' place, I took 3 objects with me. I have no idea what compelled me to bring them with me, but it led to one of my favorite jokes I've ever made. Need the heavy stuff. Got any China cat? I've got a porcelain bunny. Does that help? Even the dealer is confused about what the hell he's talking about. China what? The real deal. Heroin. Ooh. Porcelain blue dog. How about that, Roy? You want to smoke this? Of course, what might have compelled me was the fact that the dog was a gift to me that I don't remember getting. I was probably too young at the time, but inscribed on the bottom says it's for me from my great-grandmother. In addition, the squirrel also has her initials at the bottom, so maybe that one was for my brother, I don't know. The best part? These were apparently hand-sculpted by her. The odd one out is, ironically, the one that's gotten the most screen time on the show, the Pretty Bunny. Unlike the dog and squirrel, her initials are not at the bottom of this one, so I don't know if she made it as well, but it's probably a good guess. Now, yes, I could call her and ask, but it seems like an odd road for a conversation to go. Hey, did you make this brown rabbit? The brown rabbit I'm holding. Yes, I know this isn't a video phone. I just wasn't thinking.
Brown paper packages tied up with strings.
Number 6, from Warrior number 2 and 3. The Matrix Reloaded is a dumb movie. The characters are annoying, the acting groan-worthy, there's a little comic relief dumbass, the rave scene is utterly pointless and irritating, I absolutely hate the Merovingian and was hoping Trinity would put a bullet in his head in Revolutions, the action scenes go on for so long that they become boring, and the fight sequences lack the coolness factor they had in the first movie, if only for one reason. There was barely any debris! What's especially frustrating is trying to talk to people about the film, since I am one of the few people on Earth who actually really liked the architect scene. But if there was one other scene that I really liked from that movie, it'd be the one we referenced in this review.
Awareness, by hope, by desire, by purpose.
Because as you know, Mr. Anderson, it is purpose that created us.
Purpose that connects us.
Purpose that pulls us.
That guides us.
That drives us.
That defines.
It is purpose that binds us.
We're here because of you, Mr. Anderson. We're here to take from you. Wait, where the hell did you all come from? That alternate universe was weird. Everybody spoke in Matrix quotes. It was downright bizarre having the cinema snob tell me to look past his soft cow eyes and see my enemy. And yet it wasn't as strange when Mars Girl told me to do the same thing. Go figure.
Brown paper packages tied up with strings.
Number 5, from Game Boy number 1. Atop the Fourth Wall, while not for little kids, does not often make jokes that are more risqué. I like to think that I can come up with jokes without needing to dip into the realm of toilet humor or just the inappropriate, but sometimes I indulge my more childish side. And because our friendly Herman here has had a rough morning, he decides to help himself to another Game Boy. What are you gonna do with 2? Use a link cable between them and play a fighting game so you can feel good about beating yourself? Then again, a guy with such a great personality as yours is probably used to beating yourself. What's even funnier is that I make 2 jokes like that in the review. I was feeling naughty that day. I just liked that one a bit more than the other one.
Brown paper packages tied up with strings.
Number 4, from The Dark Knight Strikes Again, Part 3. I don't like Frank Miller. At all. He confuses me when half the time it seems like he has genuine talent, especially his early stuff, but then he goes and makes one of the worst sequels and, really, one of the worst comic books I've ever read. Now, there are plenty of gags I could have picked based on viewer suggestions, and there are a few of them, but it was a toss-up between the joke I ultimately picked and where I explain the origin of a nickname I've given Batman in All-Star Batman and Robin. But no, because I decided to leave out my sanity slippage moments set to the tune of Combine Harvester, since it's technically a running gag. Instead, we have this little moment when I broke. Oh goody, more satire. Super chicks arguing and there's a little girl and a little boy talking on the news. What are you trying to say, Frank? What is the point of this miniseries? Why are they making me review this? Why? Somebody send help! Ah! You know, people often ask me how I can cope with such horrible comics. Well, it's all thanks to the help of Beppo, the invisible monkey. Isn't that right, Beppo? Beppo says yes. And for those wondering, Beppo is indeed named after Beppo the super monkey. The Silver Age was weird. And yes, Beppo the invisible monkey is still around. What's that, Beppo? Oh, don't worry, Beppo. Frank Miller's Holy Terror will have its day on this show.
Brown paper packages tied up with strings. These
Number 3, from New Guardians number 2. You may have noticed that there aren't very many jokes on this list, if any at all, from my early days. It isn't because my early episodes are bad, hardly. A lot of my recurring material comes from there. Neutro, Superman at Earth's End, US-1, Barkley vs. Godzilla, Mr. T and the T-Force. However, in rewatching a few of them, I still think they're funny, but the quality of them is different to how I am now. I'm a lot faster paced, my editing is tighter, and I'm actually capable of projecting these days, as opposed to speaking in a whisper at some points in those early episodes. It's like comparing Season 1 of Mystery Science Theater 3000 to, say, Season 5. The first season is still good, but they haven't quite hit their stride yet. However, if there's one that I still grin ear to ear at, it's New Guardians number 2 and the introduction of Snowflame! Now frankly, any single one of Snowflame's lines is hilarious and awesome, but at the same time, it's not really my joke if I'm just reiterating the glory of a supervillain powered by cocaine. As such, I went with one that just makes me laugh, though who knows if it makes any of you guys laugh. Snowflame orders the New Guardians to be buried, with all their personal effects intact. In my jungle, we respect the dead. So don't put them into any humorous poses or anything. Steve, I know it's funny, but get his hand off of there. Sometimes it's the little things in life that you enjoy.
brown paper packages tied up with strings. These
Number 2, from New Men number 1. This one is not going to be high up on many people's lists of their favorite jokes. The reason why it's so high up on mine, I'll explain after I play the clip.
That being the case, then, perhaps you know of that devil, Proctor, and how he and his meddling group scarred me, branded me forever a monster, of how the once proud elemental was broken, made less than a man in the name of their perverted vision of justice.
Oh, boo-hoo, we've all got problems. Now, why is this so high up on my list? Because the entire reason I did the review in the first place was to make that joke. I am not kidding at all. Part of the process of coming up with what I should be reviewing is flipping through some comics and seeing if there's any joke material. I almost passed on New Men number 1. I didn't think it really covered any ground that I hadn't done already with early Image stuff, but then that scene of that once proud elemental comes in and he waxes on about how depressed he is, and I just had to make a joke of disregarding everything he was saying. I'm glad I did, though, because while I don't think it's my best work, New Men certainly had a lot going for it in terms of joke value, including the seriousness of pink bubbles coming out of that one guy's forehead.
girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into springs. These are a few.
And the number 1 favorite joke I've made is from Ultimates 3 number 1 and 2. Technically, this one was a viewer suggestion, but only because I had completely forgotten that I had made it, and shame on me for doing so. Sometimes you look at the art in a comic and you see exactly what they want you to see. Other times you look at the art and you come up with a line that requires several takes to get just the right intonation and volume down to make it perfect. And that, my friends, is this.
When Pym fails to answer her, Wasp reaches out and turns his head.
Pudding! And that's it for my top 15 personal favorites. Hopefully the coming year will yield more classic lines that people will enjoy, parrot, and want me to repeat at conventions. Come to think of it, what is first on the docket for 2012? Let's see. Marvel! Wait, Marvel?! Well, since this is a clip show, I'll just let a clip say all we need to on this one.
Oh, this is gonna suck.
major boner.